Welcome to Monk's Moon Temple. Come in. Find a place to rest. Perhaps you're in your favorite chair, the one that knows the shape of you, or lying down, finally letting the day's weight settle into the mattress. Wherever you are, let your eyes grow soft. Let your hands rest, palms open, as if you are ready to receive something, or perhaps to let something go. I want you to listen, not to my voice, but to the silence around it. The hum of a distant appliance, the rustle of fabric, the quiet rhythm of your own breath moving in and out of your body. This is where we begin. Not with a battle, but with a homecoming. You may have arrived here tonight carrying a quiet companion. It has many names: worry, restlessness, a gnawing sense that something is just out of place. It sits in the chest like a cold stone. It spins in the mind like leaves caught in an updraft. You might have tried to outrun it, to argue it into silence, to drown it out with noise or duty. And yet, here it is, in these quiet hours, visiting you like a familiar, if unwelcome, guest. What if I told you this feeling is not a flaw in your design? It is not a punishment for being sensitive, for caring deeply, for having loved and lost. In the gentle, vast wisdom that flows from the heart of Buddhism, what we often call anxiety is seen not as an enemy to be destroyed, but as a messenger. A teacher, perhaps a stern one, arriving at your door with a lesson written in the language of your own flesh and mind. For this time together, we are not going to fight this guest. We are going to learn how to invite it in, to listen to what it has come to say, and in that deep, courageous listening, find a freedom that does not depend on the guest ever leaving. This is a journey of understanding, not eradication. A path of peace that wins directly through the heart of our unease. So, let us begin with a story. It's about a lake I knew as a child, nestled high in the mountains. In the pre-dawn stillness, its surface was a perfect mirror, reflecting the stars and the black silhouette of the pines. You could see every detail, perfectly still. But as the sun rose and the wind picked up, the surface would break into a million shimmering points of light and shadow. The reflection shattered. You could no longer see the clear image of the trees. You saw only the agitation of the water. For years, I thought the still version was the true lake, and the windy version was somehow wrong, broken. It took me decades to understand, the lake was always the lake. Deep below that frantic, choppy surface, fathoms down, the water was dark, cold, and utterly still. The turbulence was only a condition of the surface, dependent on the wind. Our minds are like that lake. Our awareness is the deep, still water beneath. Thoughts and feelings are the weather on the surface, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. Anxiety is a particularly strong and persistent wind. Our suffering begins when we forget the depths. We see only the churning surface, the racing thoughts, the tight chest, and we whisper in fear, "This is me. I am this storm." The Buddha's profound insight, echoed across 25 centuries, is a gentle correction: you are not the weather on the surface. You are the lake in its entirety, including the profound stillness that holds the storm. You are the awareness that knows the anxiety, not the anxiety itself. This is our starting point. This is the ground of our practice, remembering the depths. This remembrance brings us to our first core principle, which in Buddhism is known as anatta, often translated as non-self. This is not a bleak philosophy of non-existence. It is a liberating recognition that you are not a solid, fixed thing. You are a process, a flowing event. Think of a flame on a candle. Is the flame at one moment the same as the flame at the next? It appears continuous, but it is constantly changing, consuming new wax, releasing new light. It is utterly dependent on the wick, the oxygen, the fuel. There is no permanent, independent flameness you can point to apart from this process of change. You are like that. Your body is a river of cells being born and dying. Your thoughts are a procession of electrical impulses. Your memories are stories you tell yourself, edited with each telling. To cling to a fixed idea of me, I am an anxious person, I am a failure, I am my past, is to cling to a ghost. It is to try to hold the flame still. And in that clinging, in that refusal to let the process flow, anxiety finds its strongest foothold. It is the fear of the flame changing, or worse, going out. Let me tell you about Arthur. I met Arthur in a small coastal town where he had been a lighthouse keeper for 40 years. When the lighthouse was automated, Arthur was retired. His entire identity, the keeper of the light, the watcher in the storm, the man who knew the rhythm of the foghorn, was rendered obsolete. He fell into a deep, quiet despair. He'd sit in his cottage, listening to the automated horn blast, and feel a panic rise in his throat. I am nothing now, he thought. The light doesn't need me. He was clinging fiercely to the identity of keeper, a flame he believed had been snuffed out. One afternoon, I walked with him along the cliffs. We watched the new, automated light flash its steady, impersonal rhythm. I asked him, Arthur, before you were the keeper of that light, what were you? He was silent a long time. A boy, he said finally. A boy who loved the sea. And is the boy gone? I asked. He looked at me, and a faint, puzzled smile touched his lips. Well, no. I suppose he's right here. And the man who loved his wife, who raised his children, who could tell a story that made the whole pub laugh, is he gone? His eyes grew wet. No, then, I said softly, you are not just the keeper of the light. You are the boy, the husband, the father, the storyteller, and the old man on the cliff. You are the keeper of all of that. The lighthouse job was just one room in the house of you. The house still stands. That was his turning point. He began to write down his stories. He became the unofficial historian of the town. The anxiety about being nothing dissolved when he saw he was not a single, solitary flame, but the entire, ongoing fire of a life. He stopped clinging to one identity and opened to the vast, flowing process of his own being. This is the first and most potent thought we can offer to our anxiety: this is not who I am. The tension, the dread, the story of catastrophe. These are passing weather systems in the sky of your awareness. They are not the sky itself. You are the sky, vast, boundless, and inherently peaceful. The clouds, no matter how dark, cannot damage the sky. They only move through it. When you feel the next wave of unease, try this. Pause. Place a hand on your heart. Feel the solid beat of it. And whisper, just to yourself, this feeling is here. But this is not me. I am the space that holds this feeling. You are not erasing the anxiety. You are changing the context in which it appears. You are moving from being lost in the storm on the lake's surface, to resting in the deep, still waters below. Before we go further into this sanctuary of understanding, if these words are a soft light in your own quiet evening, consider anchoring here in Monk's Moon Temple. By subscribing, you support this refuge of spoken wisdom, and you ensure this gentle voice finds its way back to you whenever you need a reminder of the depths within you. Your presence here is a gift, and it helps this temple remain a haven for all who seek peace. Thank you. Let's continue our journey inward, to a place beneath the stories we tell ourselves. We've touched upon the sky-like nature of awareness and the fluidity of the self. Now, let's explore the very engine of our unease. The constant, often unnoticed, push and pull of the heart. The Buddha pinpointed the root of suffering with elegant clarity. It springs from two intertwined habits of mind, raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. We can think of them as two sides of the same restless coin. One is the hand that grasps, clinging to what we love, crave, or believe we need. The other is the hand that pushes, rejecting what we fear, dislike, or believe will cause us pain. And caught between this grasping and pushing, like a leaf in a torrent, is our peace. Imagine you are holding two powerful magnets. In one hand, a magnet that fiercely attracts. You point it toward things you desire, comfort, certainty, praise, a particular future. Your hand strains to pull these things closer, to make them permanent possessions. In the other hand, a magnet that violently repels. You point it at everything you fear, loss, criticism, uncertainty, a particular future. Your hand strains to keep these things at an infinite distance. Now, imagine trying to go about your day, to drink a cup of tea, to converse with a friend, while your arms are constantly, exhaustingly engaged in this dual struggle of pulling and pushing. This is how we often live. Anxiety is the tremor that runs through your body when what you are clinging to feels slippery, or when what you are pushing against feels imminent. This isn't about lofty desires or great horrors. It happens in the quiet, domestic moments. You cling to the expectation of a peaceful morning, and then the phone rings with bad news. Aversion surges against that news, and anxiety floods the space between the clinging and the pushing. You cling to the identity of the capable one, and then you forget an important appointment. Aversion surges against that feeling of incompetence, and shame, a close cousin of anxiety, tightens your chest. We are gardeners who only want one type of flower, spending all our energy pulling up the weeds and desperately fertilizing the roses, never realizing that a garden is, by its nature, a community of growing, changing things. I want to share a story about a woman named Clara. Clara was a master quilter. Her home was a gallery of intricate, breathtaking quilts, each a masterpiece of precision and color. She found solace in the geometry, the control, the perfect alignment of seams. In her late 60s, a tremor began in her dominant hand. At first, it was slight, a nuisance. But it grew. The straighter she tried to make a stitch, the more her hand would shake. The more she clung to her identity as the precise artist, the more violent her aversion became to the betraying tremor. Panic set in. She stopped quilting altogether. The sight of her sewing room filled her with a grief so sharp it was panic. She was trapped between the magnet of who she had been and the magnet of what she was becoming, and the force field between them was pure anxiety. She came to a meditation group I was facilitating, her hands often clasped tightly in her lap. One day, during a walking meditation, she stumbled slightly on an uneven path. Instead of frustration, she laughed, a short, surprised sound. Later, she told me, when I stumbled, for a second, I wasn't the quilter with the shake. I was just a woman on a path, tripping on a root. That moment of non-identification was a crack of light. I suggested a seemingly absurd practice, to quilt badly. On purpose. To use scraps, to let the stitches be wild and uneven, to make what she called a mess. It was an agony at first. But gradually, something shifted. She wasn't clinging to precision anymore, nor was she pushing against the tremor. She was simply exploring what creation felt like within this new, unsteady reality. The quilt she made was chaotic, colorful, full of life. It was her favorite. She had stopped fighting the magnets and, in doing so, discovered a new kind of beauty that existed only in the release. The anxiety about lost skill softened into a curiosity about present possibility. The Buddha taught that everything conditioned is impermanent, anicca. The flower you grasp will wilt. The discomfort you push away will return in another form. Our peace, therefore, cannot be found in winning this futile war of attraction and repulsion. It is found in loosening our grip on both magnets. It is in what we might call balanced reception. Can we receive a pleasant experience without the desperate clutch of, I must have this forever? Can we receive an unpleasant experience without the violent shove of, this must never be? This is the practice of equanimity. Not cold indifference, but a spacious, balanced heart that meets all visitors with the same steady welcome. Try this with me now. Bring to mind a minor, persistent worry. Not the largest one, but a background hum. Feel where it lives in your body. Now, instead of trying to mentally solve it or push it away, imagine your awareness as a wide, open porch on a summer evening. The worry is like the sound of crickets. It's just there. You don't need to run toward it or away from it. You can just sit on the porch, feeling the night air, and let the cricket sound be part of the symphony of the night. You are not clinging to the silence, nor are you pushing against the sound. You are simply present, allowing the entirety of the experience. In that allowance, the grasping and pushing muscles get to rest. And in that rest, anxiety often loses its urgent, personal quality. It becomes just another part of the night's music. This is the profound shift. From being a combatant in a civil war to being a compassionate witness on the porch of your own heart. The struggle doesn't create peace, it is the disturbance. When we cease the struggle, what remains is not emptiness, but a natural, unforced peace that was there all along, beneath the effort. It is the peace of the lake's depths, undisturbed by the wind on the surface. It is the peace of the sky, unchanged by the clouds. Your task is not to create this peace, but to uncover it by setting down the magnets you've been carrying for so long. Let's continue our exploration, moving now from the grand architecture of the mind to the intimate, immediate reality of the body. For too long, we have been tourists in our own flesh, visiting only to criticize, to diagnose, or to ignore. We live from the neck up, in a buzzing hive of thoughts, while the body, this faithful, sensing vessel, sends its messages in a language of sensation that we have forgotten how to hear. Anxiety is not just a mind event. It is a full-body symphony, or perhaps a cacophony. The tight clutch in the chest, the knot in the stomach, the restless thrum in the limbs, the shallow breath held high in the throat. These are its physical signatures. Yet, we so often miss the raw data of sensation, leaping instead into the mental story about the sensation. The clenching in the gut isn't felt as pure clenching. It is instantly labeled, dread about tomorrow's meeting. The heart flutter isn't felt as a flutter, it becomes proof something is wrong with me. We bypass the body's simple truth and get lost in the mind's complicated, and often catastrophic, fiction. Buddhist mindfulness practice, or sati, invites us into a radical relearning. It asks us to descend from the storytelling tower of the head and to take up residence in the sensing, living landscape of the body. The body is an anchor to the present moment in a way the thinking mind can never be. The mind time travels, it regrets the past and fears the future. But the body? The body is always, only, here. A knot of tension in the shoulder is happening now. The warmth of sunlight through a window is felt now. The pressure of your feet on the floor is a present moment fact. By learning to listen to the body, we pull ourselves out of the phantom time zones of anxiety and into the grounded reality of this breath, this sensation, this moment. I learned this not from a book, but from a potter named Silas. Silas had hands that understood clay, its resistance, its give, its life. In his 70s, he developed a benign but essential tremor. His mind declared it a catastrophe. My hands are betraying me, he thought. The thing I am is leaving me. He would sit at his wheel, trying to force his hands to be still, and the anxiety would make the tremor worse, a vicious cycle of fear and shaking. He came to me in despair, ready to sell his wheel and kiln. I asked him to bring a lump of clay to our next meeting. Not to make anything. Just to feel it. I asked him to close his eyes and to describe the clay not as an artist, but as a scientist from another planet. What is its temperature? Cool. Its texture? Gritty, but soft. Does it yield to pressure? Yes, it gives. Does it hold its shape when you squeeze? For a moment, then it flows. For 20 minutes, he simply investigated the sensations of clay in his hands, his tremor just another part of the felt experience. When he opened his eyes, they were calm. I wasn't thinking about my hands, he said. I was just feeling the clay. That was the key. He had dropped out of the story of betrayal and into the sensation of cool, gritty, yielding. He began applying this to his tremor itself. Instead of, this tremor is ruining my life, he would feel it as a fluttering vibration in the muscles of my forearm. By moving his attention from the story to the sensation, the tremor lost its emotional charge. It became just another weather pattern in the body. He went back to his wheel. His pots changed. They became less perfectly symmetrical, more organic, with beautiful, wobbly lines that spoke of life and movement. People said they were his best work. He had listened to the wisdom beneath the story, and it transformed everything. This is a practice you can begin this very moment. You don't need special circumstances. The practice is to become an inner cartographer, mapping the territory of your own body with gentle curiosity. Start with the breath. Don't change it. Just feel it. Where do you feel it most vividly? At the nostrils? In the rise and fall of the chest or belly? Is it cool or warm? Shallow or deep? Just notice. Now, expand your awareness to your hands. Feel the aliveness there. Tingling, warmth, perhaps a pulse. Move to your feet. Feel their contact with the floor, the weight, the pressure. Now, scan slowly upward through the legs, the torso, the back, the shoulders, the neck, the face. Where do you find holding? Tightness? Warmth? Coolness? Vibration? Simply note it. Tension in the jaw. Softness in the belly. Heat in the face. You are not a doctor diagnosing a problem. You are a curious traveler, feeling the climate of your own being. When you locate a site of anxiety, that tight chest, that knotted stomach, practice this investigation. Go right into the center of the sensation. If this tightness had a color, what would it be? Not the color you think it should be, but the color it genuinely feels like in this moment. If it had a texture, is it spiky like steel wool, dense like stone, fuzzy like felt? If it had a size, a shape, does it have edges, or does it fade out? This kind of inquiry does something remarkable. It shifts your relationship to the sensation. It moves from being my anxiety to being an interesting phenomenon occurring in the field of awareness. This is the essence of mindfulness, knowing what is happening, while it is happening, without the filter of judgment or story. The body holds the truth, and the truth is often simpler and kinder than the stories we tell. A racing heart is just a heart racing. It is the body's ancient preparation for action. A tight stomach is just muscles contracting. It is not yet a verdict on your future. By learning to dwell in the simplicity of sensation, you build a refuge within yourself. When the mind spirals into, what if, you have a home to return to. The solid, undeniable reality of the breath in the body, right here, right now. This is not an escape. It is the deepest possible engagement with reality. You are turning toward the direct experience of life, instead of away into the fearful commentary about it. So, when anxiety next whispers its dire predictions, see if you can pause. Take one conscious breath. Feel your feet on the ground. And ask your body, what is true right now? Listen to its simple, sensory language. It will tell you, pressure, warmth, beating, breathing, alive. In that listening, you will find a steadiness that no thought can ever shake. You will have come home to the only place peace has ever resided, this present moment, felt through this faithful, sensing body. Let us now turn our attention to a force more powerful than any wave of worry, more enduring than any story of fear. It is the quiet, often overlooked, warmth that can soften the hardest edges of our experience. In the rich soil of Buddhist practice, it is known as metta, loving kindness. And its most crucial, and often most neglected, application is towards the one person we are with every moment of our lives, ourselves. We have explored seeing anxiety as not self, as impersonal weather. We have practiced meeting it with mindful allowance in the body. Now, we add the essential ingredient of tenderness. For it is possible to witness our pain with a cold, clinical detachment, and that too is a form of suffering. The liberation we seek is found not in indifference, but in a compassionate embrace. Consider for a moment how you speak to yourself in moments of failure, of fear, of perceived weakness. Is it with the gentle tone you would use with a frightened child? Or is it with a voice of impatience, criticism, even contempt? For many of us, especially those raised to believe strength meant stoicism, self-compassion feels unfamiliar, even indulgent. We became experts at caring for others, children, partners, aging parents, while quietly shelving our own fatigue, pain, and need. Now, in the quieter chapters of life, when the shelves can hold no more, everything we postponed comes rushing in. And we meet it not with the kindness we readily offer others, but with the same old, harsh inner critic. This, the Buddha might say, is adding a layer of unnecessary suffering to an already difficult experience. It is, as we discussed earlier, firing the second arrow. Imagine your anxious self as a part of you that is deeply afraid, a young part that believes it must be hypervigilant to keep you safe. It's the part that scans the horizon for danger, that replays conversations for slights, that imagines worst-case scenarios. How have you been treating this part? Have you been locking it in a dark room, shouting at it to be quiet, telling it it's stupid and weak? If so, no wonder it screams louder. What if, instead, you opened the door? You sat beside this frightened part of yourself. You didn't necessarily agree with its catastrophic stories, but you acknowledged its fear. You placed a hand on your own heart and said, softly, "This is really hard right now. It's okay. I'm here with you." This is not giving in to anxiety. This is giving care to the one who is anxious. There is a world of difference. I knew a man named Henry, a retired school principal who had always been a pillar of calm authority. In his later years, he began having episodes of profound, disorienting anxiety in crowded places, the grocery store, a community festival. To him, this was a humiliation, a failure of his core identity. He would get angry at himself. "This is ridiculous. Get a grip," he'd mutter, which only tightened the spiral. He came to see me not for the anxiety, but for the anger management issue he thought he had developed towards himself. I asked him to describe the feeling, not as a principle, but as if he were describing a lost, scared child on the first day of school. Reluctantly, he said, "It feels small. Overwhelmed. Like everything is too loud and too close and you just want to find a corner and hide." I then asked, "What would you say to that child, Henry?" He paused, and his stern face completely changed. His voice dropped to a whisper. "I'd say, it's okay. I see you're scared. Let's find a quiet spot together. You're safe with me." In that moment, Henry met his own anxiety with the principle's deepest wisdom, compassion, not discipline. He began to practice this. When the panicky feeling arose, he would internally say, "There's the overwhelmed part. It's okay. We're okay." He would sometimes even physically place a hand on his own chest. The anxiety didn't vanish, but its power to shame him dissolved. It became simply a feeling he was holding with care, not a verdict on his character. This practice of self-compassion, or karuna directed inward, is a physiological bomb. The harsh inner critic triggers the body's threat response, releasing stress hormones, tightening muscles, and quickening the breath, fueling the very anxiety it's trying to suppress. A kind, reassuring inner voice, however, cues the caregiving system, releasing hormones like oxytocin, softening the body, and promoting a sense of safety. You are literally using your own inner dialogue to soothe your nervous system. It is a practical, powerful tool. Let's try a brief practice together now. You can close your eyes if you wish. First, simply settle into your body, feeling the support beneath you. Now, bring to mind a recent moment of minor worry or unease. Feel it lightly. Place a hand over your heart. Feel the warmth of your hand, the steady beat beneath. Now, silently offer these phrases to yourself, letting them sink in like warm rain into parched earth. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I accept this feeling just as it is. May I be free from this suffering. May I hold myself with care. You are not asking for the feeling to magically disappear. You are changing the atmosphere in which it exists. You are moving from a stance of warfare to one of sanctuary. If your mind protests, saying you don't deserve this kindness, that is just another old, fearful thought. Offer that thought kindness too. Ah, there's the thought that says I'm not worthy of care. I see you. You, too, are welcome here. This is the heart of the path, to turn our boundless capacity for understanding and love inward. The Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This is not narcissism. It is the foundation of sanity. A well that must first be filled before it can overflow to others. When you meet your anxiety with this kind of fierce, gentle friendship, something alchemical happens. The anxiety may not leave, but it is no longer a tyrant ruling a barren land. It becomes a visitor in a warm, well-lit home. And in that warmth, it often finds it has less and less to say. Let us now journey to a place that exists before words, before stories, before the very concepts of me and mine. We have navigated the landscapes of thought, body, and heart. We've learned to witness, to allow, and to offer kindness. Now, we venture into the space from which all of this arises and to which it all returns, awareness itself. Pure, simple, knowing presence. This is the ground of our being, the silent canvas upon which the portrait of our life, with all its joys and anxieties, is temporarily painted. In the wisdom tradition stemming from the Buddha's enlightenment, this is the ultimate refuge. Not a refuge from experience, but a refuge within it. Imagine you are sitting in a vast, silent movie theater. The screen is immense. A film is playing, it's the film of your life. Right now, the scene is tense. The music is ominous. The character that looks like you is facing a dilemma, feeling fear, thinking frantic thoughts. For your entire life, you have been leaned forward in your seat, utterly absorbed. You have forgotten you are in a theater. You believe you are the character on the screen. You feel their fear as your own, you believe their thoughts are true, you are completely lost in the drama. Anxiety is the intense, gripping suspense of this movie. Now, imagine for a moment leaning back. Feeling the plush of the seat behind you. Becoming aware of the cool air of the theater on your skin. Remembering, oh, I am here, in a seat, watching a screen. The movie doesn't stop. The tense scene continues. But something fundamental has changed. You are no longer lost in it. You are the watcher. The awareness in which the entire drama, the screen, the light, the sound, the story, is appearing. This leaning back is the essence of meditation and the pinnacle of Buddhist insight. This awareness is not a thing you create. It is what you are. It is the knowing space that is present before a thought arises, that holds the thought while it is here, and that remains after the thought dissolves. It is untouched by the content it knows. A mirror does not become stained by the ugly reflection that passes over it, nor does it cling to a beautiful one. It simply reflects. Your awareness is like that mirror. Anxious thoughts are like frightening faces reflected in the glass. The practice is not to polish the mirror frantically to change the reflection, but to recognize yourself as the mirror, not the face. I want to tell you about a woman named Elara. Elara was a retired librarian whose mind was a curated collection of worries, meticulously organized like books on a shelf. She had a worry for her health, a worry for her finances, a worry for her distant children, each volume detailed and cross-referenced. Her meditation practice was initially a struggle to create a blank mind, which she saw as an empty, peaceful shelf. She failed constantly, which became just another worry. One day, utterly frustrated, she came to a session and said, "It's hopeless. The thoughts never stop." I asked her a simple question, "Elara, in the moment you realize you've been lost in thought, what is that like? Before you judge yourself, in that split second of noticing, what's there?" She closed her eyes, tried it, and her face softened. "It's quiet," she said, surprised. "Just for a flash, it's just quiet knowing." "That," I said gently, "is the mirror. That quiet knowing is what you are. Your job isn't to stop the thoughts, the books from being written. Your job is to recognize the quiet library in which they all sit. To be the space, not the collection." This was a revelation for her. She began to practice not by fighting thoughts, but by looking for the awareness that was aware of them. She called it, finding the library silence. The worries didn't vanish, but they lost their gravity. They became like books she could take off the shelf, glance at, and put back, knowing they didn't define the library itself. Her anxiety transformed from a prison into a passing weather system in the vast sky of her awareness. She had discovered the watcher in the theater. How do we touch this directly? We practice by resting as awareness itself. You can try this now. Settle in. Notice the next thought that arises. Any thought. Instead of following its content, turn your attention backward, toward the source of the thought. Where did it come from? It simply appeared, didn't it? Out of nothing. Now, notice the space around the thought. The silence that holds it. Now, let the thought go, and feel what remains. A spacious, cognizant stillness. That is awareness. Now, notice a sound. Instead of getting lost in identifying the sound, notice the awareness that is hearing. The open, empty capacity in which the sound is appearing and disappearing. You are that. You are not the sound, you are the hearing. You are not the thought, you are the knowing. This recognition is profoundly liberating. It means that no matter how intense the anxious movie becomes, you can always, at any moment, lean back in the seat. You can feel the breath in your body, the weight in the chair, and remember, I am here, witnessing this. This does not negate the human experience of fear, it contextualizes it. It places the personal, terrifying story inside an impersonal, peaceful vastness. The story may still be frightening, but you are no longer exclusively identified with the frightened character. You are the awareness that contains the entire scene. This is the ultimate application of the phrase, "This is not me." We take it to its logical conclusion. Not only is this anxiety not me, but the one who knows the anxiety, the aware presence, is also not a small, separate me. It is boundless, timeless consciousness. You are not a wave tossed by the ocean of fear. You are the ocean itself, capable of holding waves of any size without being fundamentally disturbed. To rest in this knowing is to come home to the deepest peace imaginable. It is a peace that does not depend on changing the movie, but on remembering your true seat in the theater of being. We have journeyed from the surface storms of thought to the depths of silent awareness. Now, let us bring this understanding into the most practical realm, the art of living itself. For wisdom that remains in the quiet chamber of meditation is like a lantern left unlit in a dark house. The true test, and the true freedom, is found in carrying that light into the ordinary, messy, beautiful moments of your day, the spilled coffee, the unexpected bill, the silence of an empty room, the ache of an old joint. This is where philosophy becomes liberation. This is where we learn to walk, not just sit, in peace. Buddhist practice is often described as a path. And a path implies movement, engagement, a step-by-step progression through varied terrain. The terrain of a human life includes anxiety. The path does not go around it, the path goes directly through it. Our practice, then, is to learn a new way of walking. Not a frantic sprint away from discomfort, nor a heavy, resigned trudge through it, but a mindful, compassionate, and sometimes even curious amble. We learn to include everything we meet as part of the path. Consider this metaphor: you are a wanderer in a vast, ancient forest. This forest is your life. Anxiety is like a sudden, dense thicket of thorny vines blocking your way. Your old habit was to see the thicket as a mistake, an enemy. You might have fought it violently, tearing your clothes and skin, exhausting yourself. You might have tried to backtrack endlessly, searching for a past where the path was clear. Or you might have simply sat down before it in despair, believing your journey was over. The new way, informed by the wisdom we've gathered, is different. First, you pause. You acknowledge the thicket. Ah, a thicket. This is part of the forest, too. You don't take it personally. Then, you get curious. You look at its nature. Where is it densest? Is there a slight gap near the base? What is it made of? This is mindfulness. Then, you bring kindness to your own tired legs and frustrated heart. This is hard going. It's okay to be tired. This is self-compassion. Finally, you proceed, not with brutal force, but with gentle, persistent attention. You part the vines carefully, you step through the gaps, you move slowly but surely. The thicket is not an obstruction to the path, it becomes the path. Your way through it is your practice. And on the other side, you are not just past an obstacle, you are a wiser, more capable wanderer. I recall a student named Ben, a man in his 70s who had been a lifelong planner. His calendar was his scripture. Retirement left the pages ominously blank, and a formless anxiety seeped in. His thicket was the unstructured day. He tried to fight it by filling every hour with trivial tasks, which only made him feel busy and empty. He tried to avoid it by sleeping late, which led to guilt. In our talks, I suggested he stop seeing the empty day as a problem to be solved. Instead, could he treat it as a forest clearing he had unexpectedly stumbled upon? His assignment was to spend one morning with no plan at all. He was to move from one thing to the next not by schedule, but by gentle inclination. Feel tired? Sit. Feel like moving? Walk. Notice the light on a plant? Go look at it. He reported back, bemused. It was the most nerve-wracking and then the most peaceful 3 hours I've had in years, he said. I ended up repairing a loose hinge on a cabinet I've ignored for a decade. I wasn't being productive. I was just following the interest in my hands. The unstructured time had transformed from a terrifying void into a fertile clearing where his natural curiosity could bloom. He had walked through the thicket by changing his relationship to it. So, how do we cultivate this path walking in daily life? We develop what can be called practice moments. These are not hours on a cushion, but micro-sanctuaries of awareness woven into the fabric of your day. Here are a few ways to begin. Here is the voiceover version of the text, formatted for a text-to-speech tool without pauses or sound gestures. First, the pause before reaction. When you feel the first spark of anxiety, a missed call, a critical comment, instinct wants you to fan it into a blaze of reaction. Instead, institute a sacred pause. Take one breath. Feel your feet on the ground. In that tiny space, you reclaim your choice. You step out of the automatic movie and back into the director's chair. Second, gratitude for the ordinary. Anxiety often feeds on a sense of lack, of something missing. You can counteract this by deliberately noticing what is already whole. Feel the warmth of the mug in your hand. Acknowledge the functioning of your eyes to read these words. Recognize the roof over your head. This is not naive positivity, it is a factual recalibration of your attention toward the supports that are always present. Third, listening as meditation. In your next conversation, practice listening not to formulate your response, but simply to receive the other person's words as sounds, as expressions of their inner world. This simple act pulls you out of your own anxious narrative and into compassionate connection, which is a proven balm for the restless mind. Fourth, the completion ritual. When you finish a small task, washing a dish, filing a paper, pause for half a second to consciously acknowledge it. Say to yourself, completed. Feel the subtle satisfaction of a cycle ending. Anxiety thrives on the perpetual feeling of unfinished. This practice directly counters it by creating moments of conscious closure. Remember, the goal is not to create a perfect, anxiety-free day. That is the old war. The goal is to walk through this day, this hour, with more awareness, more kindness, and more trust in your own capacity to meet what arises. Each time you choose the mindful pause over the frantic reaction, you are wearing a new groove in the path of your mind. Each time you meet fear with a breath of compassion, you are lighting a lantern in the forest. The path is made by walking. And every step taken in awareness is a step toward lasting peace. This is the integration of all we have learned. Carrying the sky-like awareness, the body's wisdom, and the heart's kindness out of the chair and into the magnificent, uncertain, alive experience of your one precious life. Now we arrive at a quiet truth, one that blossoms in the space between understanding and acceptance. We've spoken of the mind's storms, the body's signals, the heart's compassion, and the sky-like nature of awareness. We've practiced walking the path. Yet, there remains a subtle, almost invisible thread that can bind us to suffering even amidst our most diligent practice. It is the thread of expectation. The silent hope that our efforts will lead to a final, permanent state of calm where anxiety no longer visits. We secretly believe that if we just meditate correctly, think the right thoughts, or practice enough self-compassion, we will reach a shore where the waves of unease cease to break. This expectation, however noble, is a final form of clinging. It is grasping at peace itself. And the Buddha's law is unwavering: whatever we cling to, we suffer when it changes. Peace, as a transient emotional state, will always change. Therefore, the ultimate freedom is found not in the arrival at a peaceful state, but in a fundamental friendship with the absence of peace. This is the mature, profound territory of true equanimity. Imagine you have planted a garden. You have learned the skills, you know the soil, the seasons, how to water and weed. You plant seeds of mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. But if you stand over the seeds each day, demanding, "Grow. Be beautiful. Give me flowers," your anxiety becomes the climate of the garden itself. The soil hardens under the pressure of your gaze. True gardening involves doing the skillful work, then stepping back. It involves trusting the deeper laws of sun and rain and time. Some days bring blossoms, some days bring slugs and wilt. The gardener's equanimity is not in having a perfect garden every day, but in maintaining a caring, non-frantic relationship with the entire process. The growth and the decay, the flower and the weed. Your inner life is this garden. Your practice is the skillful gardening. Equanimity is the open, trusting space you create around it all. This means making a subtle but monumental shift, from being a seeker of peace to being a host to experience. The seeker is always leaning forward, peering into the future, measuring the present against an ideal. The host stands grounded in the present, welcoming each guest, joy, sorrow, calm, anxiety, with the same dignified hospitality. The host does not prefer the guest named calm over the guest named anxiety. Both are received at the door, offered a seat, and attended to with appropriate attention. The host knows that all guests are temporary. This hosting attitude is the essence of upekkha, the pinnacle of the Buddhist Brahmaviharas, or divine abodes. It is a balanced, radiant calm that is not shaken by the comings and goings of pleasant or unpleasant feelings. I witnessed this transformation in a man named Martin. A former journalist, Martin had a razor-sharp mind trained to detect problems, inconsistencies, and potential threats, a perfect breeding ground for anxiety. After retirement, he turned his analytical lens inward, treating his meditation practice like an investigative report. Today's session, 20 minutes. Noted 47 thoughts, predominantly anxious category. Focus was poor. Conclusion, failing. His logs were meticulous and grim. He was seeking a headline that read, "Anxiety defeated, perfect peace achieved." Every session that didn't produce that result was another piece of evidence against him. He was a gardener screaming at the seeds. His breakthrough came during a week-long silent retreat. On the fourth day, exhausted by his own internal scrutiny, he simply gave up. He stopped trying to achieve anything. He sat in the meditation hall with the attitude of a very tired man just sitting on a bench, watching the world go by. Rain lashed the windows. His back ached. Anxious thoughts about his health came and went. But instead of analyzing them, he found himself simply saying, internally, "Yep. That's there too." It was the non-judgmental note of a host acknowledging a guest. Aching back. That's here. Rain sound. That's here. Worried thought. That's here too. In that simple, weary allowing, something cracked open. He felt a profound sense of okayness that had nothing to do with how he felt. The anxiety was still present, but it was now rooming in a vast, quiet mansion of acceptance. He wasn't peaceful, he was at peace with the absence of peace. He had stopped seeking and started hosting. When he returned home, his practice was revolutionized. He no longer meditated to get better. He meditated to offer a generous space for whatever was happening. His anxiety, deprived of the resistance and drama of his seeking, gradually lost its central, defining role. It became just another of life's many textures. How do we cultivate this hosting attitude, this equanimity? It begins by noticing and relinquishing the subtle demands we place on our own experience. First, practice ending the secret war. Notice the covert hope that this feeling will end, or the fear that it will last forever. See these hopes and fears as more thoughts, more guests. Say to them, the desire for this to be different. Welcome. Have a seat. When you stop fighting the fact that you are anxious, you remove the second layer of suffering. Second, embrace the good enough moment. Perfectionism is the enemy of peace. Look for moments that are not perfectly peaceful, but are fundamentally workable. The breath may be shallow, but it is breathing. The mind may be busy, but you are aware it is busy. This is enough. This is the ground upon which you stand. The host does not wait for the perfect guest to arrive before opening the door. The door is always open. Third, develop a loyalty to the present. Anxiety's power is its promise of a frightening future or its lament of a lost past. Equanimity is loyalty to the truth of now. It is a vow to be present with what is actual, not with what is imagined or remembered. When you feel pulled into the future, gently reaffirm your loyalty. My commitment is to this moment. Just this. This loyalty builds a profound inner integrity. Finally, remember the seasons. Your inner weather has seasons. There are springs of hope, summers of joy, autumns of release, and winters of contraction. Anxiety is often a winter mind, a tightening against the cold. The host does not curse the winter. The host brings in wood for the fire, makes a warm drink, and watches the frost patterns on the window. There is a stark beauty and a necessary rest in the winter. Can you find the necessity, even the dignity, in your anxious contractions? They are not mistakes, they are part of the cycle of your humanness. This hosting, this equanimity, is the final untying of the knot. It is the understanding that freedom is not a feeling you attain, but a relationship you inhabit. It is the relationship of open, compassionate, intelligent allowance to the entire spectrum of your experience. When you stop demanding that the garden be in perpetual bloom, you can finally appreciate the unique beauty of each season, the bare branches against a gray sky, the quiet waiting of the frozen earth, the first courageous green shoot of a new thought. Your anxiety, held in this vast, hospitable space, is no longer a master, nor even a problem. It is simply one of the many, many guests in the endless, fascinating procession of a life being lived. And you, as the gracious, unwavering host, are finally, completely, free. Would you like to continue with the final part? We have traveled a long path together, you and I. From the first recognition of anxiety as a visitor, not a jailer, through the landscapes of thought, body, and heart, to the silent sky of awareness and the gracious art of hosting our own experience. We have gathered tools, not weapons, but instruments of kindness and seeing. Now, as we prepare to close this shared sanctuary of words, let us weave all these threads into a single, strong tapestry of understanding. Let this final part be an integration, a remembering, and a gentle launching from the quiet dock of this temple into the flowing river of your life. The core of everything we've explored rests on one seismic, gentle truth from the Buddha's wisdom: suffering is not in the pain, but in the resistance to the pain. Our anxiety, in its essence, is not the initial spark of fear, that is biology, a signal. It is the roaring bonfire we build around that spark with the kindling of our resistance, our stories of condemnation, our frantic pushing, our desperate clinging to a different moment. The path to peace, therefore, is not a path of building a better, stronger self to fight the fear. It is a path of disarmament. It is the courageous, counterintuitive work of laying down the arms of our resistance. The judgment, the shame, the narrative of brokenness, and meeting our experience with what we might call sacred curiosity. Sacred curiosity is the fusion of all our practices. It is mindfulness without coldness, compassion without sentimentality, and wisdom without abstraction. It is the attitude of a wise, loving grandparent looking at a distressed child. The grandparent doesn't shout, "Stop crying." They don't ignore the tears. They lean in, with calm interest and deep care, and ask, "Tell me, sweet one, what is this all about?" They create a space so safe that the truth can emerge. This is what we must learn to do for our own anxious hearts. When the tightness arises, instead of the inner shout of, "Not again," we can cultivate the inner whisper of, "Ah. Hello. What is this present moment experience, really?" And then we investigate with care, using all our tools. Let's perform a final, comprehensive integration. Imagine your awareness as a kind, steady lighthouse keeper. The storm is your anxiety, the high winds of fearful thought, the lashing rain of physical sensation, the dark clouds of future worry. The old you is out in the storm, trying to shout down the wind. The new you is the keeper in the watchroom. Your job is not to stop the storm. Your job is to keep the light lit. Each practice we've learned is a way of tending that unwavering light. The light of not self. When the storm says, "You are this fear," you tend the light by remembering, "I am the awareness watching the fear. This is weather in the sky of me." This keeps the light from being blown out by identification. The light of the body anchor. When the storm tries to pull you into the future, you tend the light by feeling your feet on the solid rock of the lighthouse floor. My feet are here. My breath is here. This sensation is now. This grounds the light in reality. The light of self-compassion. When the storm rages and you feel small and afraid, you tend the light by placing a hand on your own heart, generating warmth in the watchroom. This is hard. It's okay. I am with you. This ensures the light is fueled by love, not fear. The light of hosting equanimity. When the storm seems endless, you tend the light by acknowledging its presence without alarm. Yep, a storm. It's here. I am here. The light is here. This steadies the light against the buffeting winds. Your sole task in any moment of distress is to remember one of these ways to tend your light. You don't have to do them all. Just one act of remembering, one conscious breath, one whispered, "This is not me," one hand on the heart, is enough to change your entire position from victim in the storm to keeper of the light. The storm may rage on, but you are no longer lost in it. You are in your post, doing your duty. Maintaining the beacon of conscious, compassionate presence. And that beacon is what guides you, and perhaps others, home. Now, let me offer you a final story of integration, a parable of this lighthouse. There was an old keeper named Elias who had lived through countless storms. One winter, a storm came that was said to be the worst in a century. The radio crackled with warnings. The waves towered over the rock. For the first hour, Elias fought. Battening extra hatches, checking gauges with frantic urgency, his heart pounding with the thunder. He was exhausted, and the storm was only growing. Then, he remembered. He was the keeper. His job was the light. He went to the great lens, lit the lamp, and began the slow, rhythmic work of polishing the brass and glass. He focused entirely on the smooth, circular motion of the cloth, the growing clarity of the prism. He felt his breath match the rhythm of the polishing. He heard the storm, but it became background to his task. He was not denying the storm, he was simply fulfilling his purpose in the midst of it. A profound calm settled over him, a calm of deep focus and trust. The lighthouse beam cut through the furious dark, steady and brilliant. In the morning, the storm passed. Elias was tired, but he was at peace. He had stopped trying to control the uncontrollable and had instead devoted himself wholly to what he could do. Keep the light of his presence clear and burning. This is your practice now. Your life will bring storms, of anxiety, of loss, of change. You cannot stop them. But you can be the keeper. You can turn from the futile fight with the wind and tend to the quality of your own presence. Polish the lens of your attention with mindfulness. Fuel the lamp of your heart with compassion. Ensure the foundation of your understanding is the rock of not self. And then, simply shine. Here is the voiceover version of the text, formatted for a text-to-speech tool. As we part, I leave you with this integrated practice, a condensed remembrance you can carry with you. When you feel the first signal of distress, follow these steps. First, pause. This stops the automatic war. Second, breathe. This anchors you in the body, in the now. Third, note. Whisper softly to yourself, sensation, thought, emotion. You are naming the weather. Fourth, allow. Say, it is allowed to be here. You are hosting it. Fifth, inquire. Ask with gentle curiosity, what does this need? Listen for the message. Sixth, and finally, return. Feel the breath again. Feel the support beneath you. You are coming back to the lighthouse floor. This is not a sequence to be performed perfectly. It is a compass. When you are lost in the storm, any one of these points can guide you back to your post. You were never broken. You were simply a lighthouse keeper who had been taught to fight the weather. Now you know your true work. The profound, Liberating wisdom of the Buddha is not a promise of calm seas. It is the masterful instructions for tending the inner light in any sea. That light, your aware, compassionate presence, is inviolable. No storm can extinguish it. It has been shining since your first breath, and it will shine beyond your last thought. So go forward, gentle keeper. Walk into your days. Meet your moments. When the old, familiar winds of anxiety begin to blow, do not despair. Do not fight. Simply feel your feet on the rock. Remember your light. And tend to it, with all the kindness and clarity you have cultivated here. The world does not need you to be storm-free. It needs you to shine. And you, having remembered who you are, now can. Thank you for sharing this sacred time in Monk's Temple. May the light of your own awareness forever be your guide and your refuge. Be well, be peaceful, and shine on.